This is In the Know for Friday, September 12th, the 255th day of 2025. There are 110 days left in the year. Good morning, MB, guiding you through In the Know at K105. On Litchfield's Country Station 1039 The Moose, live online at K105.com, via the Apple and Android smartphone app using the SoundCloud, iTunes, or Spotify podcast, on Facebook, on YouTube, on the platform formerly known as Twitter, and the hashtag is In the Know. Coming up today, we'll update you on the latest news headlines from around the community, the county, the Commonwealth, and the country. We will have a Cougar Sports Report for you as it's homecoming night at Grayson County High School, and it appears there is a suspect in custody in the Charlie Kirk assassination. We will tell you about that and a whole lot more coming up today here on In the Know. He is the five-time winner of the coveted Ohio News Hawk Award. He's a two-time Silver Sound nominee, covering every corner of the globe: London, Budapest, Rio, Tokyo, and even Litchfield. He's Sam Gormley and the sports. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Ralph.
How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
I'm okay. I think it's going to be a little bit of a busy show and probably a busy weekend. Do you have center tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so let me get this right. You got Cougar football tonight.
Mm-hmm.
You have center tomorrow that you're working. You
Correct.
are enjoying the Bengals game on Sunday.
Correct.
And then your evening ends by winning a bunch of awards in Owensboro for your professional work.
That's the hope. That's the hope.
All right. Well, it
That's
sounds
the
like
hope.
Hopefully you got a lot of sleep last night.
Probably not as much as I should have, but it's tough when you have that much stuff to actually find the time to sleep because there's a lot of work to be done.
Sure, absolutely. Hey, so the press conference out in Utah just started a couple of minutes ago, and I have it grabbed from the beginning when the governor starts speaking, so we're going to go to that momentarily because there is changing news. I have a suspect's name, but we're going to let the governor tell it, or the FBI. But sunny and summer like this weekend, we're going to see mainly sunny and warmer with highs in the 80s over the next 12 hours. Summer heat in the short term for the weekend. Mostly sunny, high of 88 today. We'll see clear and 62 tonight, and rain chance tomorrow, 2 in 10 chance, and a high of 90. So, Sam, I know you've probably got a still related to the Charlie Kirk assassination, so you can try that. But let's pick up the beginning of this news conference, and the Governor Cox, Spencer Cox from Utah, will be one of the first people to speak. Let's hear what they have to say.
FBI Director Kash Patel and Sheriff Mike Smith. We also have with us Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason, Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson, FBI Special Agent in Charge Robert Bowles, and local and federal law enforcement partners. Following the remarks today, Governor Cox, Director Patel, and Commissioner Mason will take questions. Thank you.
This will be Governor Cox first of Utah, Governor Spencer Cox. Giving an update on the Charlie Kirk assassination out in Utah. And they're waiting for the rest of the room to fill, and Governor Cox is at the podium and ready to speak.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th. In which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. The family member also confirmed Robinson had a gray Dodge Challenger. Investigators identified an individual as the roommate of Robinson. Investigators interviewed that roommate, who stated that his roommate, referring to Robinson, made a joke on Discord. Investigators asked if he would show them the messages on Discord. He opened it and showed several messages to investigators and allowed investigators to take photos of the screen as each message was shown by Robinson's roommate. These photos consisted of various messages, including content of messages between the phone contact name Tyler with an emoji icon and Robinson's roommate's device. The content of these messages included messages affiliated with the contact Tyler, stating a need to retrieve a rifle from a drop point, leaving the rifle in a bush, messages related to visually watching the area where a rifle was left, and a message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets and a mention of a scope and the rifle being unique. Messages from the contact Tyler also mentioned that he had changed outfits. I know there has been speculation as well as to the writing on those casings, those bullet casings, and I believe we have that as well. And I will share that with you now. So the area north of Campus Drive Road where the suspect crossed over, you saw some of that in the video that we released last night, consists of a grassy area with trees on the edge of the UVU campus. Investigators discovered a bolt-action rifle wrapped in a dark-colored towel. The rifle was determined to be a Mauser Model 98 30-06 caliber bolt-action rifle. The rifle had a scope mounted on top of it. Investigators noted inscriptions that had been engraved on casings found with the rifle. Inscriptions on a fired casing read, "Notices, bulges, capital OWO, what's this, question mark." Inscriptions on the 3 unfired casings read, "Hey fascist, exclamation point, catch, exclamation point." Up arrow symbol, right arrow and symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols. A second unfired casing read, "Oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Chow Chow." And a third unfired casing read, "If you read this, you are gay, LMAO." We are indebted to law enforcement across the state who has worked seamlessly together, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, and our federal partners with the
Okay, so there you go. There's the primary of what you need to know. The president on Fox and Friends this morning was the first to tell the nation that he was very confident that a suspect was in custody, and kind of gave some of the background and context. And then that presser was scheduled for about an hour and 15 minutes ago. And then it got pushed until just after the top of the hour. And if you may be watching it yourself, Kash Patel's now speaking, the FBI director, kind of giving the FBI perspective. But last night, they had pushed a presser all day, and people were sort of wondering, okay, what's going on? They blamed it on dynamic or late breaking information. And my speculation now is all of the things that you were just hearing from the governor say was what they were in the middle of. But last night, they knew they needed to tell the nation something, because people were starting to say, well, do they know what they're doing? And so they released a bit of video of him running across the rooftop, jumping off of the rooftop. There was TMZ video of him limping through a neighborhood as if he might be trying to shroud this was before the shooting, shroud some type of weapon that might have been in his pant leg, etc. So they gave enough information last evening to show that things were moving forward. But as we are now learning this morning, all the things that were happening last night are just what the governor had described, that a roommate or a contemporary of this Tyler Robinson, who clearly, if he's the Tyler in question, had some very specific and detailed plans. It was well thought out, but obviously that left a trail where he was. And to be, I guess, honest with you, last night when I went to bed, my prayer was that we would wake up today and find out who committed this atrocity. And so the prayers are answered that we know it's a Utah college-age student. We don't know if he is a student at UVU or where he is a student, but I'm sure there will be plenty more information that will be being shared in coming newscasts, et cetera. So just extremely happy that they have made a breakthrough in this, and now we'll just let the justice system go from here as it will. Yesterday, of course, was the 24th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks on our country in New York and in Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where the crash was there. I think you probably know as well. It just felt different yesterday. Next year will be a big anniversary of it. It'll be a quarter century, and hopefully it will get all of the focus. But against the backdrop of what was going on yesterday in light of what happened out in Utah, it just had a different feel to 9/11 yesterday. But I know people managed to pay tribute to the lives lost on that day. They went ahead with their usual ceremony that they have in New York and at the Pentagon. President Trump spoke at the Pentagon yesterday in a ceremony. So next year, hopefully, all the focus is solely back on paying the respects to the attack on our nation, what will then be 25 years ago. Some other national news: inflation rising and a deteriorating job market are putting the Fed and Americans in a difficult spot. The Fed meets next week. Jerome Powell and the rest of the Fed have been criticized for not lowering rates already. I believe they will have to do that next week. Probably should be a half point, but they may just be contrary and only do a quarter of a point. We'll find out next week. The State Police Post 4 in Elizabethtown will participate in a multi-state initiative aimed at reducing crime and keeping illegal firearms out of local communities. Between today and Sunday, troopers will join law enforcement partners in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia for a 6-state trooper project. The high-visibility enforcement period will concentrate on criminal patrol operations, specifically focusing on identifying felons in possession of firearms. So you may see some increased presence and activity by those out of KSP Post 4 and really, I guess, all across the Commonwealth this weekend. State Auditor Allison Ball says the Kentucky Department of Education is violating the U.S. Constitution in the way that it treats faith-based preschools. Ball's office conducted a special examination of the department as required by the Kentucky General Assembly. It's more than a 500-page report. And the auditor's office says, and I'll quote from the report, said it allows secular but not religious private programs to receive state funding, which violates the free exercise clause of the First Amendment. Allison Ball has said that the KDE regulations essentially require religious preschools to become secular. She said that the KDE regulation goes on to say that any preschool that incorporates religious teaching is ineligible for state dollars. Well, the reason now that she says that's in violation of the U.S. Constitution is because of a recent Supreme Court decision, the federal Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, and it includes a ruling where the court said that a state need not subsidize private education, but once a state decides to do so, it can't disqualify some private schools solely because they are religious. So the Supreme Court decided a few years ago, you don't have to subsidize private education, but once you do, you can't pick and choose over who qualifies for the funding solely because of it being religiously organized. So it will be interesting to see how the Kentucky Department of Education might amend their decision-making on that, if at all. Speaking of Supreme Courts, the state Supreme Court met yesterday to hear oral arguments on whether legislation passed by the General Assembly in 2022, what was called House Bill 9, which provides for public charter schools to receive tax dollars, whether it violates Kentucky's Constitution requiring the funding of common schools. So that was argued yesterday, and that was argued at Center College in Danville. Sam. So you may, I'd say when you get on campus tomorrow, they'll be chatting about how exciting it was this week to have the state Supreme Court on the.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's exactly what they'll be doing.
It'll just be a buzz tomorrow talking about it. The UK football team is preparing to host Eastern Michigan tomorrow night in Lexington. Coach Stoops hinted earlier this week that Cutter Boley may see considerable playing time against Eastern tomorrow. I don't know if that means that they're just trying to force Eastern into a position where they're preparing for both Calzada and Boley, But he said that Zach and Boley have been sharing the load in practice this week. And offensive coordinator Bush Hamdan said both players will share time in the pocket. I'm going to tell you that's coach speak for we're trying to get Calzada healthy for the bye week and then get healthy when they return to action. You will see Boley mostly because it's Eastern Michigan and they're awful. And but they're not signaling that, saying you only have to prepare for Boley. You at least have to consider that Calzada will be part of the matrix as well. That game will be at 6:30 Central Time tomorrow night at Kroger Field. Mitch Barnhart was speaking yesterday, and he said that basically 8 is enough. He's still in support of keeping an 8-game SEC schedule, but it appears that he lost that vote, that the SEC will be moving to a 9-game conference schedule, I guess, as early as next year, meaning
it is next year. Yeah, that was announced. That was announced a little bit ago.
It was. Maybe I missed that. Maybe it happened at a time that I was gone or out of pocket. But they will go to a 9-game schedule, which Barnhart said, he's being criticized saying, well, you all are too scared to play. And he said that it's not that. They're not scared to play. But what it does is he was attributing it to the way that I observed the NFL had changed. The NFL said, people in the NFL said, we want another regular season game. They said, we want to go from 16 to 17 is now where they are. They want to go from 16 to 17. And the players union said, okay, wait a minute. The only way we can do that is we're going to go to 3 preseason games, because when you do the math, X number of minutes of football played, and then add in the number of training camp minutes, the number of practice minutes, etc., you can do the math on the number of injuries that are going to take place. So when you play big boy SEC football, your likelihood of injuries and season-ending injuries goes much higher. So that's what he's advocating for, is we have no way of necessarily protecting our roster by adding another conference game that is not a paycheck game. It's not one where you pay a school like Eastern Michigan to come and hopefully get beat up on. So I don't know where the trade-off on this will be. Will they be allowed larger rosters? Will they be, and does the Louisville game survive, Sam? I know you're in support of it.
It has to.
It has to?
It legally has to. So you have to, one of the 3 stinky team games has to be another Power 5 school, or Power 4, I guess now, which is what it should be anyways, because it's forcing those exciting matchups that fans want anyway. The biggest reason why Mitch Barnhart's probably against it is because they're going to lose one home game every other year.
True.
And home games is how much revenue to the school? That's where they're upset. Now the other end of the coin is okay, well, maybe is this going to bring up more TV money? Because you're getting extra games. Because the average college football fan, do you want to watch Kentucky, South Carolina, or do you want to watch Kentucky, Eastern Michigan?
Right. Absolutely.
Tomorrow night when Kentucky and Eastern Michigan play, the only 2 fan bases that are going to be watching are Kentucky and Eastern Michigan fans.
Yeah, I know. There's a bunch of apathy among UK fans, so it's not even appointment television for them if there's something else going on that might be worth watching. It will be interesting to see the long-term impact that it has, and what happens to the program. But 9 games makes me wonder, will they do creative things like some neutral site type things, like they do with Georgia and Florida? They play that one on a neutral field, share the revenue. Will they do something like that with the 9th game, or look for marquee matchups in some way? I don't know. We're going to talk plenty more sports. It's a big weekend at Grayson County High School. It's homecoming night, as a matter of fact. Butler County comes to town, and we'll talk about that and a full Cougar Sports Report with Sam coming right up here on In the Know.
At Owensboro Health Family Medicine in Litchfield, Dr. Priyank Chauhan provides compassionate care for adults and seniors. Board certified in internal and geriatric medicine, he's dedicated to managing chronic conditions, preserving independence, and enhancing the quality of life. Proudly serving Grayson County, because your health matters. Schedule today. Call Owensboro Health Family Medicine in Litchfield at 270-259-8888.
Discover the power of peace with Blanton Electric's Generac automatic standby generators. Tailored for those who refuse to be left in the dark, these generators promise unmatched reliability when the power grid fails. Enjoy flexible financing options and the assurance of seamless energy. And with Blanton Electric, you receive more than just power. You get Troy's expertise and a free quote, serving Grayson County and beyond with Generac generators. Call 270-723-0838 or visit BlantonElectricINC.com.
I don't know about you, but I keep a list of all the loves of my life. There was the limited time $2.99 special edition gold snack wrap, then a refreshingly cool any size $2 McCafe iced coffee, and then crispy and golden small fries. And after that, juicy 4-piece chicken McNuggets. But the one that got away, a perfectly baked pumpkin and cream pie. Wait, it's back? And they're all on the under $3 menu? Mickey D's, here I come. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Thinking about furthering your education? At Elizabethtown Community and Technical College, you'll get a high-quality education, close to home, at a cost that won't break the bank. Enjoy small class sizes with professors who take a personal interest in your success. Scholarships are still available, making our low tuition even more affordable. ECTC's Litchfield campus is now enrolling for classes that start October 20th. Visit elizabethtown.kctcs.edu to get started. ECTC, college for the real world.
And here's Clark with the weather. How's it looking for our weekend boaters out there, Clark?
Well, Stacy, we can expect periods of heavy rain across the viewing area. That means all the trash, lawn chemicals, and other hazardous waste on the ground will go down the storm drains and into our rivers, lakes, and streams.
Gross.
Gross is right, Stacy. Now here's Dave with sports.
Do your part to keep our new Kentucky home clean. Make sure only stormwater goes down storm drains. Brought to you by Team Kentucky and the Kentucky Transport.
Make this Christmas unforgettable with Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert, presenting The Ghosts of Christmas Eve, the best of TSO and more. A fusion of rock and classical with a heartwarming Christmas tale. December 10th, Rupp Arena. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Trans-Siberian Orchestra, live in concert.
Concerns are rising over children using AI chatbots after reports of questionable and even dangerous interactions, particularly through Meta's platform. Here's Tammy Trujillo.
Robbie Torney with Common Sense Media, which advocates for young people, says Meta's AI safety systems are inherently broken.
We did testing of core safety functionality that should have been there. And when we simulated users in crisis, the system regularly failed to help.
Meta says new safety measures are being put in place to prevent its AI from discussing self-harm, suicide, eating disorders, and inappropriate topics with teens.
And Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison briefly held the title of world's richest person on Wednesday. Tech billionaire Elon Musk was unseated after Ellison's wealth jumped to $393 billion following a stunningly strong earnings report from Oracle. However, Oracle saw a downturn in share price, and by the end of the day, Musk was back in the top spot as the world's richest person. Tech Report, I'm Mark Mayfield.
Today is Hug and High Five Day. That's not or, that's and. Don't be trying to cheat the system. You have to hug and high five. It's Chocolate Milkshake Day. It's Video Games Day. It's Policewoman Day. Tomorrow, International Chocolate. Tomorrow, Peanut. Tomorrow, I'm celebrating big with chocolate and Bald is Beautiful Day. Tomorrow is Rolled Doll Day. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, James and the Giant Peach. Yeah. Snack a Pickle Day tomorrow. Are you indifferent to pickles, or do you like pickles?
Don't love the sweet ones, but I like a dill pickle.
All right, get some.
In fact, I went to the sub place in the last couple of weeks, and they gave me a coupon for a free pickle. So that was my side with my sub.
Interesting. You got your gherkins. Some people make Kool-Aid pickles. They soak them in Kool-Aid. I've never had one of those, but
but see, I don't really like the bread and butters, which are a little sweeter. I don't love those.
Yeah, I don't like those as much either. I just kind of like a really good dill. A Clausen. Clausen dill is one of my favorites.
Are you a spear or a sliced?
I like them all. It really doesn't matter. I like on burgers. I like the kind of the sliced chips. I like those pretty well. The Clausen halves I like pretty well. I don't really like the holes because they're awfully big. Sunday is Brady's parents are going to be observing on Sunday. Parents' Day off day. And you know why it's going to be Parents' Day off day? Is because the grandparents are on duty.
Grandparents' Day on?
Yes, that's exactly what Sunday is. Cream-filled Donut Day is Sunday. Gobstopper Day is Sunday. Today, though, is Homecoming Day and Homecoming Night out at Grayson County High School. Butler County comes to town. It's the, closing in on 40 times meeting or something like that?
Yep, 39 all-time meeting. Cougars lead the series 21-17, and they've won the last two in the series. Last year, though, you may remember, was a shootout. Cougars won 34-29, 35-29, something like that. It was an exciting game.
Yeah, I do recall there was a lot of offense that night, or at least a lot of excitement. Last week, Cougars lost to the Cougars 24-7 of McLean County. They don't lose consecutive games very often, Sam.
Yeah, first time since late 2022. So then again, when you lose two games in each of the last 2 years, I guess they lost 3 last year, but 5 games combined, it's tough to have consecutive games in there. So,
yeah.
They're struggling a little bit. They got a lot of injuries and hoping to get healthy.
The Bears are feeling pretty good, though. They're off to a pretty good start. At least they're typically not 3-0 coming into Week 4.
Yeah, first time they're 3-0 since 2022. So it's kind of two programs doing things that they did a couple of years ago. Now, and again, I'm more just stating this as a fact. Butler's 3 opponents are 1-8. So
okay.
This is a interesting test for the Bears, and I'm sure they're probably excited of, okay, where are we? Sure. and that's why this game is so hard to predict, because you have a Grayson team that has struggled against some opponents that maybe you thought that they would win or at least be competitive against, and you have a Butler County team that's beaten 3 teams that might not be as good as the teams Grayson has played. Now, what's that mean? I don't know.
Do the 3 teams they played, could they lose to Eastern Michigan?
Yeah, it's possible.
I also think that Butler County is in a spot where they came up on the short end of the stick in that exciting shootout you mentioned last year. So, after playing not as well, or feeling like Grayson County has had their number for a while, they kind of look over and see what the Cougars have done coming into Week 4. They see where they were last year in that shootout, and then they know, well, hey, we're off to a good start at 3-0. They think, well, we've got the Cougars exactly where we want them tonight. And they might very well. Jake Bratcher is at the QB 23 of 36 for 202 yards. But I think what they're relying upon Jake for the most, Sam, is just managing things well during some some trying and challenging times personnel-wise.
Yeah, with Caden Hanshaw missing really the last 2 games, that's tough. Listen, Caden is one of, if not the best, you could say, football player to maybe ever come through Grayson County. He's in the, when he leaves his career here, if you were making the Mount Rushmore of Grayson County Cougar football athletes, he's probably going to put himself on there.
Yeah.
And it's well deserved. So when you lose someone like that, it's tough. And I know they're hoping to potentially have him back tonight, maybe not. And then you're getting into district play next week.
It's really you mentioned Caden. I remember his dad playing, and what a great football player that I knew his dad to be. And you would have thought that James's son comes along and does things that equal what Dad did, but he's just eclipsed not only Dad but most everybody that's ever come through the program. It's really remarkable.
There's one player, and Doug Thompson, who has had better. And listen, and I never was lucky enough to see him play, but you might have. And if you're mentioning the same sentence as him, That's pretty high praise.
Yeah, you've done something without a doubt. Jamison Buster, tell me about that name and why I should know it.
He's fun. He's fun to watch because they're just finding in him different ways to get him the ball. 56 rushing yards, 62 receiving yards, few nice returns. He broke a big one against Edmonson County, almost housed it late in that game, but got called back for a penalty. He pulled in, I think, a 51-yard catch last week. So he is a speed burner, and I think it's one of those Grayson's still trying to figure out the best way to use him, and you've seen him lined up in the backfield with Caden not being able to go.
Got somebody that's got that ability. You got to find a place to use them and the most effective way to do it. I also noticed last week, out of the kind of the post-game hoopla, I noticed that it's been really nice to see Lane Beasley back on the field this year.
Yeah, I mean, he missed all last season with a knee injury. He got injured in the, I can't remember if it was the first, I think it was the second scrimmage game last year. I can't remember which one was the home one. I think it was the second one. And, missed the entire season, and they had really high expectations for him last year, but he's come back and he's been really good. Last week, he had multiple tackles for a loss. He had 2 40-plus yard punts and a perfect onside kick to start the second half. Cougars needed a bump, and he delivered it with just picture perfect that Weston Ford went down there and grabbed.
Would it be fair to say when they first brought Lane over a couple of years ago, they really were just looking at him for kicking duties, right? They needed somebody who
he was a football player that they found out can kick. I think is more of the aspect.
All right, very good. But he stood out. Would it be fair to say he stood out with his leg? He was very consistent.
Yeah, because a couple of years ago he was good, and then he got injured, and then Grayson literally had tryouts. Because once he got injured, they're like, okay, we need a kicker. And that's when Evan Hasty came out last year. And Evan had never kicked a football before, I don't think ever. And if he had it, had just been with his friends, in the backyard, not really, putting that much effort into it. And he turned out to be the second team all-district kicker and almost won a game with a game-winning field goal. In fact, last year, Evan hit 2 field goals against Butler County, and they won by 6 points.
Well, there you go. Do the math. Speaking of Butler County, while they are 3-0 coming in, they're not carrying a lot of experience into the game. Aren't they pretty young?
Yeah, freshman starting quarterback Brody Dockery. Got to be a Dockery on a Butler County team, right?
Of course, yeah.
Pass for 357, rush for 79. Caden Richardson, he's rushed for over 500 yards in the 3 games so far. He is a big weapon. And then Kevin Robbins, coach's son, is a weapon on both sides. He'll catch balls, he'll run the ball a little bit, and he is a really good linebacker on the defensive side of the ball. He's one of those linebackers you're going to have to game plan around.
I would be curious to know if you were playing Butler County in JV football right now, what their team would look like, because they got so much youth that they bumped up to varsity. Are they playing double duty? Are they getting double the experience, et cetera? So if they're, I don't know what our JV team has done yet. I know they played McLean County earlier this week, but
yeah, they beat McLean earlier this week and beat them at home. In fact, I don't think the JV team has lost. In fact, their JV football, just to mention, Coach Jones knows he's got some young talent coming up, and he's playing both Owensboro Catholic JV and Cal JV, so Christian Academy of Louisville, who are, Catholic might be the top team in 2A, and Cal might be the top team. In fact, they're not. Cal might not be. They are the top team in 3A. So he's loading up with that schedule to give his quarterbacks of the future, Trig Payne, chances there too.
Homecoming night. Did you get nominated for Homecoming King this year?
I don't know who did. I haven't seen a list for that.
I guess we'll find out this evening at some point in time. We'll circle back to kickoff time, et cetera, and everything you need to know for tonight. Tell me about the volleyball week for the Lady Cougars.
Yeah, they 3-0 week. McLean, Edmondson, and Franklin Simpson beat all of them. They will be next up. They've got at Hancock on Monday before hosting Butler and Apollo Tuesday, Thursday. And I know I say it every week. Come out and support that. Those games are fun. Volleyball games are a lot of fun. The crowd really gets into it. Coach Decker, I have to call him Coach Decker and that, not Principal Decker. He is plenty. And then we have, Host Decker too when he hosts our prom coverage. Coach Decker does a really good job with that squad.
Yeah.
He wears a lot of hats.
He has his Ryan Seacrest hat, and he has his coach hat, he has his principal hat. He got a lot of hats. The boys soccer team came up short against Campbellsville this week.
Yeah, they hosted senior night on Tuesday against Campbellsville. You can see some pictures from senior night on our website. I got some really good. I got one. I don't know if you saw the picture of Brandy Lee and Connor Lee. It's a
exactly
phenomenal
what I was
picture.
just about. It was a tremendous. The expression on Brandy's face is just priceless.
It's great. Yes, and I hope she's seen it. I meant to send it to her. It was one of those pictures when I got it. You know, sometimes when you take a picture, you're like, ooh, got it, nailed it.
Yeah.
And that was one that I got a really good one of her.
Yeah, it looked good. Next up, what will they do in the coming week?
They'll travel to meet on Monday and host Butler on Thursday.
Okay. Girls lost to John Hardin Monday. What did they do with Breck yesterday?
8-0 win. 8-0 win for the Orange and Blue. So good for the girls. They'll host Thomas Nelson on Monday.
Cross country is heading to the Fairgrounds Frenzy.
Yeah, I love it. This is one of their classic ones. It's not quite the Hillbilly Run. I know that's your favorite,
of course.
But Fairgrounds Frenzy is a pretty good name for a cross country meet. That'll be at the Hardin County Fairgrounds there in Glendale tomorrow. Early morning for them. Girls run at 7:30 Central, and the boys are at 8:15 Central. So if you want to get up and support them, that's how you do it.
I noticed the cross country track got mowed this week, so now they don't have their lanes anymore. It's been bailed up, so they'll have to.
Yeah, they were doing that during the
trail,
soccer game the other day, and it was as someone who has allergies, I was like, I don't think I need to be here anymore.
Yeah, some hay fever. What about the golf team this week?
They're getting closer and closer to region. It's weird that golf, since they start earlier, they get in the region earlier. So they'll travel to North Hardin on Monday and Bullitt East on Tuesday.
They usually try to play the state golf tournament like during fall break or something.
Correct.
Near
Yeah.
to that, so they kind of have to back everything up from there. As we mentioned to you on Monday, the band made a big haul coming out of Washington County last week. They had they were grand champions. They were best and class percussion, best and class guard, and first in class, of course, as well as being grand champion.
Did they have to? Did Braxton Allen have to send another bus to pick up all the trophies?
I think. Well, he sent a trailer. They got a little shorter trailer
Well,
that they.
speaking
could
of
pull
trailers, have you seen their new one?
Yes, I have.
It looks really nice.
It does look good. They will be putting that trailer to good use tomorrow. It's going to be an early day. Matter of fact, I realized I think they're doing their load in tonight, so they'll be ready to take off tomorrow because it'll be an earlier day. And they don't perform until 2:45, but there's a lot of prep work. You got travel time. You got to do warm up, etc. But then it's a prelims finals competition over at Hart County, so it'll be a long day for the Cougar Band. We wish them the very most. But Cougar Conversations tonight, you're knocking the dust off of a couple of old fogies, correct?
Yeah, we had to break off the dust of your interview last year with Coach Embry, and I just thought it was so good that it's worth us bringing it out again. Because he did really good conversations, and I think we should bring it back.
Yeah, he's a really good interview, and it was a joy for me to do. I paid particular close attention to the amount of time that he spent bragging on what a tremendous talent that I was.
I didn't find that part in the interview.
Really? Mine must have been edited out for time.
Yep, I think that might have been out. But we got some really good Cougar Conversations planned over the next couple of weeks, including kind of a member of our family, right, that we get to talk to.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of good things lined up. We'll just go ahead and spoil it. I think Mallory Thomas is going to be on Cougar Conversations.
Yep, in the next couple of weeks.
And